Welcome to Unstoppable Real Estate Investing Wealth. My name is Billy Alvaro, aka the Unstoppable BA, former billion-dollar mortgage banker, gone bankrupt, turned professional real estate investor. Where each week you'll learn the tools, strategies, systems, and secrets myself and other highly successful real estate investing entrepreneurs use to start, grow, and scale their businesses, creating massive profits, and how you can too. And we'll teach you how to put those profits to work so you no longer have to. Get ready to finally experience financial freedom and generational wealth. Now let's get started.
All right, everybody, what's going on? My name is Billy Alvaro, the Unstoppable BA, and this is Unstoppable REI Wealth, and I'm here with another episode to deliver the heat. And before I introduce this man, I just want to tell you, if you are looking to start, grow, or scale your real estate business, you're in for a treat. This whole podcast is meant for one thing, to get you from where you are to where you want to go by giving you the tools, tips, tricks, strategies, and secrets that I use and my guests use to get them results. Number one thing is results. You don't get results unless you take action. A lot of the tools and tips that we're going to be speaking about, or that we've spoken about in past podcasts, you could go on to my website, billyssecrets.com. All the links, the tips, the tricks, anything we utilize that to find properties, the lists, anything you could possibly think about to get your business to where you want to go, from where you are to where you want to go, is on that website. So today, I have a gentleman who is an author. He's a speaker. He's a businessman. I think he has a real estate company, an investment company. He has a radio show, a podcast. He does a lot. I don't know how he gets done what he gets done in one day's time frame. But without any further ado, the one and only Mr. Erik Hatch, welcome to the podcast, my man.
Oh, man. That's like, I love being able to write intros for other people, because my friends would be like, yeah, this douchebag's about to be on this thing. All right. And when I can give like a written intro, like, you made me sound way cooler than I am. So thanks for that, Billy.
You know, one thing I like about you, bro, is your personality. Like, you're funny, but I don't know if you realize how funny you really are. Like, oh no, you do, don't you?
No, if you're not laughing, you're not having fun. And why would I do anything if it's not fun? You know, and so that's the attitude I take in it. But like, I am as serious as the day is long when it comes to being focused and mission driven and having purpose in what I do. I'm just going to crack a joke every time I can.
You have a good time in life, brother, and you get results on what you're doing. So I want people, because I don't know a ton of your backstory. I got your bio, but I really want it to come from your words. Like, tell us your backstory. How did you get into this business, and like just lead up to what you're doing now?
You bet. So I live in Fargo, North Dakota. Yeah, people actually live in Fargo, North Dakota. We have cell phones and everything. It's amazing. I rode a bison to school, but after that, it was all totally normal dirt floors like everybody else had. Literally, Billy, I grew up as trailer trash. You know, my dad abandoned my family when I was 2, and my mom worked 3 jobs just to try to keep us fed. And like, we had really, really meager means growing up. We were 1 foot in the welfare bucket for a lot of my life. And, wow. And so I learned early on hard work. I watched my mom be this incredibly hard worker. I then had this opportunity to take who she was and try to reinvent that, because my mom was a secretary and just did whatever she could. She had the ability to type 120 words a minute and would type kids' college papers. This was back in the day when they're handwriting them out, and she would type them out and charge them like $1.50 a page. Like, my mom was an entrepreneur just trying to find a way. And so I was the kid with lemonade stands and knocking door to door just to sell these products so I can get myself a new snack or something. And so when I was 16 years old, my mom got diagnosed with cancer. My dad, again, wasn't in the picture at all. And I had to take care of my mom. And I only knew what she had taught me, and that was exceedingly hard work. The word entrepreneur is thrown around a lot now. I didn't even know what that meant or understood it till I was probably in my mid-20s, because I always thought life was about working for somebody else.
Yeah.
I learned some amazing lessons. I was working between school and extracurriculars and my own job and taking care of my mom when I was 16 years old. I was working 70 or 80 hours a week. And it was just naturally ingrained in me to go really hard, because I saw the difference it made for the person that I was closest with, and that was my mom, right? Fast forward, I was 21 when she died of cancer, and so orphaned at 21, and she was wise enough to have taken some of her pay and put that into some life insurance, enough so that I could pay off my student loans when I was 21 years old. I tucked away like 15 grand into some IRAs, and then I was broke again. But it gave me like this fresh start at life. And I went to work for a nonprofit, worked at my church for 8 years and did youth ministry, but I was so broke. but so in love with the idea of helping people.
Sure.
And so halfway through that journey, I was so broke that my buddy's like, hey man, you're good with people. You should sell real estate. And so in 2006, I got my real estate license to sell residential real estate. And I just kept getting better and better at it. Fast forward to 2011, I left the ministry and went into real estate full time. 2012, I started a real estate team. 2013, I got kicked out of the real estate brokerage I was in, started completely over. My team fell apart. 2014, opened up my own brokerage. And in fact, as we record this today, it's been 7 years to the day that I opened up that brokerage. And in the last 7 years, we've sold almost 5,000 houses, over $1 billion in volume, one of the top 50 real estate teams in the country for what we do for residential production. And I have now 20 different businesses that have all stemmed off of this one gift, and that is to understand people. And so now I fix and flip, I invest in a bunch of real estate, I run 20 businesses that are empowering about 100 people to do great things. Hopefully I'm just getting started.
That is freaking amazing. I know the one thought that's popping through my head, Erik, is how do you manage 20 different businesses? Like, what's the secret to doing that successfully?
I don't.
You know,
I have amazing partnerships. There's two businesses I really work in. I work in my coaching business. So I'm coaching realtors around the country, doing a lot of podcasts and webinars and that sort, teaching and scaling the best way that I can. Spend about 20 hours a week in this business. And then I spend 20 hours a week running my residential real estate team. We're a $6 million team, you know, like to have a P&L that says we made $6 million last year on the gross is pretty awesome. And then I have all my other side gigs, and all those other side gigs started from this main gig. And when I opened it, I always opened it with a who. And I was the guy, like, I understand that, yeah, I know real estate and I know numbers, but I gave a who a chance in each of these. And I was able to give them a world that's bigger than what they could have created on their own. Inversely, I got a piece of all the action and the energy that they put into it. So we're reliant on each other. When I opened up a wholesaling business last year, I didn't go and try to be the one to do it. I had a guy on my team that was talented enough. We split it 50-50. And so he's now chasing after all the wholesale deals. And I'm the marketing arm of it because I'm already doing it with my residential team. Like, I get him all of his at-bats. He runs and finds all the buyers and chases down the investors. And we get to both benefit from being in each other's world. So it's almost inbred. You know what I mean, Billy? Like, we're all dipping our toes in each other's water and benefiting from it.
You know, I had Gavin Timms on, and you guys are completely different but the same, meaning
same accent, right?
Gavin's a great guy, isn't he? From across the pond. But
yeah.
you know, the one thing I've learned from him, and that I'm learning from you too, and that the listeners have to take out of this, is you don't need to do it all yourself. Partnerships, the right GVs, could really benefit all, and you can get yourself to the next level a lot faster if you have and foster the right relationships. Mm-hmm. Relationships are everything in this business and in life.
The wealthiest man in Japan has a minority share in like thousands of businesses, because what he's done is he's found great people and he's brought the value. Think of Shark Tank, right? Those sharks are making their massive worth not by being the 79% owners in something, but they have a 15% ownership in some amazing companies with amazing people. Bet on the people, and no matter the avenue or the vehicle that you go, they'll find monetization if it's the right who. There's a great book that I'm reading right now called Who Not How. And it's this awesome idea that the solution to all of your problems and the things that you want in life are not found by having the right how, right? People are often listening saying, how can I make $1 million? Like, what houses do I need to flip and what investments do I need to do? How can I make that? And for me, I ask the question, who do I need to be in relationship with to make $1 million? And it changes the scope. It changes the philosophy. It's working out well for me.
How do you go about choosing the right partners? Because you hear a lot of horror stories on people getting into business with people and they're like, that's the last thing I'm ever going to do again.
Yeah.
The partnership didn't work out. So like, what is your litmus test for picking out and aligning with the right people?
So I treat the litmus test when it comes to building businesses the same way I do in building my ecosystem for my real estate team. You know, we'll sell probably 1,200 homes this year in residential real estate. In Fargo, North Dakota, we have 250,000 people in our entire 2 counties that we serve, and we have a 9% market share currently.
Wow.
You know? And so we're going after it. And the thing that I do, Billy, is I make sure that everything is earned and nothing is given. And that's the philosophy that I have as somebody wants to climb the ladder in my world. If somebody comes to me and they say, Erik, I want to make more money. I want a higher commission. I want to have more at bats. Everybody wants to make more and work less.
Yeah.
And so what I say to them is I always say yes. I don't say no. No matter who it is in my world, if somebody's like, hey, can I get paid $1 million next year? I'll say, yeah, absolutely you can. Let's devise the plan on how we're going to get there. And we're going to earn it. Like, I'm not going to give it to you. You're going to earn it. Everything is earned and nothing is given. And so I don't say no. I always say yes, comma, when. And we develop that when, and they prove that they've earned that chance and that opportunity. Ownership and shared camaraderie, that's a part of it now. Like I have a marketing company in the building that I'm in right now. I have a marketing company that I own. And 4 years ago, I had hired this amazing marketing talent, and I knew that he was going to be gone quickly. Like he had helped to produce the Academy of Country Music Awards. He started TEDx in Auckland, New Zealand, and just did these amazing things. But he's a friend of mine. And so I gave him a job, and he worked for me for a year. And I'm like, this guy's going to go and open up his own marketing company because he's that talented. I was not afraid of amazing talent. And so when it was time to go, I'm like, hey, Andrew, we should open a marketing company together. He's like, that'd be awesome. Because now I'm helping him achieve his dreams, right? Billy, I wrote a book. This is the cheesy promotion, but I wrote a book called Play for the Person Next to You. And it's about servant leadership. And the idea is if I can help Andrew get what he wants, I'm going to have what I want. And if I serve that person next to me, I'm going to get to benefit from that tide rising. And that's been my philosophy on all this. And like, I know we're to talk real estate investing and we'll probably get there, but my greatest investment strategy is always in a who and not in a how.
It's amazing. You're the third person in the last week that recommended that book, Who Not How. So it's definitely something I'm going to put in a list and go out there and get.
Yeah, man.
Let me ask you this: when you structure these deals with your partners, are they true partners on paper? Is it a verbal agreement? Like, what does that look like?
Everything is legally documented. Yeah, I haven't made that mistake of getting into a partnership, not had paperwork to back it up. So it's a lot of LLCs, which makes my tax time really expensive and that sort. Yeah. I will tell you this. I have my brother-in-law, he does some videography on the side. So he opened up a videography company and he and his partner were 50-50 partners. So they all brought their expenses in. And then he came to me and he's like, dude, I'm so frustrated because I'm a 50-50 partner in this, but I'm doing 80% of the work.
Yeah.
And so many people in partnerships will say that same kind of adage. And they're like, I got to get out of this partnership. I'm like, no, you don't. You just have to create for yourself a paid position within that partnership. So to my brother-in-law, I said, listen, you can be 50-50 partners in owner profit, but you're an employee in the business. You're the guy going out shooting the videos and capturing all this information. And so you should be paying yourself $1 per hour for the time you're working in the business. And then you guys can share owner profit afterwards. And that's forever transformed. So if you're working with an investment group and somebody is a silent partner, but they're a 50-50 partner and you're just pissed because you're doing all the work and they're getting half of the profit, change that strategy and pay yourself and get agreed upon terms, but pay yourself a salary or pay yourself an hourly for the time you're actually working in the business. Have agreed upon terms of what the partners are going to do simply as partners, and then what you're going to be doing as an employee of the business. And that way you're able to justify your compensation a little bit better.
That is a nugget right there, brother. I mean, that's a nugget for anybody on this call that wants to scale their business, grow their business. This is not information for somebody who wants to start. It's really grow and scale. Partnerships, the right ones, put together the right way with the right documentation could create a lot of wealth for all involved. Have you ever had a partnership that went south, went sideways?
No. There's people that have pissed me off. In fact, I'm in one right now where I'm kind of bashing my head against the wall. I got our P&L back for the last year, and the company didn't make any money. You know, and I'm not driven by money. I think money is like oxygen, right? It's not the purpose of what we do, but we need it to breathe and we need it for our businesses to function. And seeing that a business didn't make money, it was this like come to Jesus meeting. Like, dude, I trusted you in this. I'm paying you a handsome salary. We're paying you a handsome salary to run this business, and it didn't make any money. And so far before we got into the partnership, we had agreed upon what those conversations would look like and how we would have them.
Yeah.
You know, and we have divorce decrees in all of our agreements. It's imperative that you have that in the beginning, when things are good, you're still talking about what would happen if you were to divorce. And we had our come to Jesus meeting to say, dude, I am frustrated with this. How can I help? And what do you need? And what are you doing different? Right. And we had, by the end of it, I'm not as pissed. I mean, I'm still pissed that I didn't make any money, but we'll get there.
You have a process inside there to address it that you guys agreed upon up front before you got into the business. Do you have, when you created your agreements, I know you have an attorney that does the legal side, but do you have a business advisor that helps with the deal points inside there to make sure this thing is going to work the right way?
I don't. Probably should.
So this is what you. This is you who does all the negotiation, figures out how you're going to create these things.
Pretty much, yeah. And I've done it now a dozen times, right? And so I have an idea of who's going to go where and what's going to happen. At this point, it is getting very, very clear. And I want to circle back to a point I made. Is getting very, very clear when you're sharing ownership. You have to have written, clear boundaries of what responsibilities each of those owners is taking on. Oftentimes in an LLC, you're going to say, well, you're president and I'm vice president, but that doesn't actually mean anything in terms of duties and responsibilities.
Yeah, the accountability matrix has to be crystal clear inside these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I will be so painfully diligent with all the written things ahead of time when we get it signed off on, so that we can go back to say, did you uphold your end of the bargain or did you not? Because the biggest thing that leads to frustrations and disdain are people that have unmet expectations. I expected this company to make $100,000 this year and it lost money, right? It's rooted in that unmet expectation. So we're going to dive in to say, did we all do what we said we're supposed to do? Mm-hmm. That key element to that's one of my favorite nuggets, and I have it written all over my office, is that one phrase of unmet expectations. That's where all the boiling points inside our hearts and our gut come from, is simply unmet expectations. So that means do all the work ahead of time, create the clear expectations, and overperform always.
Do you, and I know this is real estate, but this has to do a lot with real estate on scaling your business. Partnerships are very important. When you're creating these partnerships, Erik, is it here's your percentage, 20%, 40%, 50% upfront, or do you have an earn in over time based on certain milestones that they have to hit? What does that look like?
Yeah, so vested interest is certainly an option and an opportunity. There's also the financial gain and prowess that you can go after. And so that person could simply buy in, or you could gift it to them. And as a business and real estate coach, I talk people through this stuff all the time. And really, it's a matter of the gauge of level of what that person has brought in the first place. I'll give you an example. With my coaching company, I had been 100% owner from the day in which we opened. This last year, I gave up 30% of my ownership to my two key players that have been with me since moment one, that have blood, sweat, and tears grinded in the business. And simply, I didn't know what I know now, and I didn't invite them in to be a shareholder from day one. And so I gifted them ownership into the company. They had earned it over time and performance. And so I had ended up gifting that to them. I also have some ecosystems like my Hatch Realty World, my real estate team, where it is all profit share based. So those that have been with me for at least 3 years and that serve as a key leader or an admin, they receive some profit share from the company. So it's another way to compensate without actually giving up ownership.
Yep.
Then I have some others that, we start off as a 50-50 partner from moment one. So really, it all depends on the relationship and what has been proved, what has been earned, and the risk level that goes into it in the first place.
When you're drafting these agreements and you're coming into how people get paid out, I mean, this is a question that I've gotten in the past with my JVs, is that you have a partnership. The company earns, to argument's sake, $1 million for the year. You have a net profit margin of $500,000. How do you go about paying yourself and your partners? Because you can't liquidate all the money in the company. The company needs to be sustainable with cash. Otherwise, it's going to go out of business. So what does that look like when you're paying out your partners?
Yeah, again, going back to the unmet expectations and communicating everything up front, is we have it written. I know for my coaching company, we say we're going to always keep $100,000 in our checking account, right? Our expenses monthly are 30 grand or so. We want to keep at least 3 months of operating expenses in our checking account, and then we'll pay out quarterly dividends. So if we have 300,000 in the checking account, we're going to split our 200 and then keep 100 in there. So we agreed from moment one what that cushion should be, and that's always 3 months of operating expenses. So that's actually a moving target, right? If right now we're 30,000 in expenses, that means we're going to do just 100 and round up. If we're all of a sudden 50,000 in expenses, we got to get 150 in there before we share any profits.
Yep. And you do your profit allocation on a quarterly basis?
I do. This is so important. Losses carry forward. So let's say you have a quarter where you lose 10 grand and then a quarter where you make 100 grand. That means you actually made 90 grand that quarter. Yeah. Make sure that those losses carry forward.
I love it. Do you ever, and I know we're going on a different subject here, but it is important because there are people on this call that are going to want to scale. Do you have, for your company, by the way, that just lost money, the one with the partnership, are you going to have a capital call where you require him to put money in because the company's driving at a loss?
No. What we're talking about is his salary. He's, I think, on a $90,000 salary or so and a company car, right? And so we're going to talk about those things. And we are on what I call a PIP, a performance improvement plan, which means that I'm spending more time in the business. He's spending more time working with me, and we as owners are working on the business together so that we're to get it back to the profitable point. So a performance improvement plan, 84% of the time somebody gets put on a PIP, they fail. And the reason why is, Billy, if you were struggling and I'm like, dude, you're struggling, you're not meeting any of your numbers, clean it up, right? And then I walk away as the leader or the manager saying, well, I sure hope Billy gets his crap figured out.
Yeah.
And realistically, a performance improvement plan is for that owner, for that leader, as well as for that team member. And so I have to spend more time on this PIP. My partner has to spend more time on this PIP so that we can have mutuality and that we can, what I say is monitor the crescendo. The crescendo is above your comma button on your keyboard, and it means greater than. So if his performance today is little, I want to make sure that tomorrow is a little bit better and the next day is a little bit better. And we monitor the smalls in order to capture the big.
Bro, you're very, very good at structuring this whole thing. Like, I'm loving this conversation right now because I love business. I love wholesaling. I love real estate, but I love business and structuring deals and doing JVs.
Yeah.
I love this. And you've been doing these JVs and these partnerships for how many years now? 7 years?
About, yeah. Yeah, about my very first joint venture, it was 2012. That's 9 years ago now. Myself and a couple of buddies from high school said, hey, we should invest in real estate. Sure enough, the very first deal came up that was a foreclosed home. Bought it for $89,000, and I was so scared, Billy, to buy it on my own because what if I can't get any renters, and what if it's super expensive? And so I was scared to death, and also I didn't have that much financial capital at that point. And so I put in 10 grand, and each partner put in 10 grand, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm a third owner of a house. That's unbelievable, right? And we got after it now, and we've done that 25 times with that one group, and then I have some other investment groups that are doing the same thing, but like my kids are going to go to college on that one house I bought. And I had a third ownership in it. And I paid 10 grand on it because after 15 years, I'm going to own it outright. After 15 years, it's not worth 90 grand anymore. It's worth 230 grand because we bought it right. And then it's going to be cashing out $1,800 to $2,000 a month in rent. Like seriously, my kids can go to Ivy League. They're not smart enough, but like my kids can go to they're 6 and 4, right? So I don't know if they're smart enough yet or not, but like they can have these Ivy League educations paid for by one house of a $10,000 investment I made back in 2012 with partners because I was too scared to do it on my own.
Bro, it's amazing. It's amazing. Your story is amazing. So these 20 companies that you have, give us a general idea. Like what kind of volume are you doing in 20 companies?
So my residential real estate business is the biggest. We are a $6 million GCI company, and we sold $205 million worth of residential real estate in 2020.
Amazing.
My next biggest is my coaching company. We are about a $2 million GCI company annually. We have about 500 users right now. I coach people one-on-one on a lot of Zoom calls and deep conversations. And then we have a whole bunch of tech and things that we've built on that have people doing the sexiest thing possible. And that's MRR, monthly recurring revenue. So they are subscription based. And that for me is mailbox money like I've never dreamed of before. It has created such a huge ecosystem for what we're doing. Our coaching company is growing by about 50 users a month right now. It's on fire.
Focus, for a second, is your focus realtors or real estate investors or a combination?
Mostly realtors.
Yep.
One of the spinoffs that we've done, I opened up a company that is essentially doing iBuyer stuff, which is wholesaling. I just happen to be the first wholesaler, right? I get the first at bat. And a residential real estate company, Billy, is a marketing and servicing company. That's the core of it, is it's marketing and servicing. And so we have a lot of eyeballs and a lot of attention. And we're now offering our clients, our potential sellers, a choice. Do you want to sell direct to an investor, or do you want to go to market? Because go to market, there's a lot of pains, there's a lot of expenses, there's a lot of headaches. Sell directly to an investor, you don't have to do any fixes, fit up, and you pick the closing date, right? Which one do you want? And there is a major void and chasm right now in residential real estate that most realtors aren't offering that. If you're listening right now and you're not a residential real estate agent, there's no reason that you shouldn't go and partner with a local realtor in your area and you become that wholesale option for them. See, we're given a menu of services. And that's what most people who are doing wholesaling right now are not doing, is they're not offering a menu of services. They're simply saying, all right, I'll buy your house. It's at a discount. I'm going to flip it and sell it to somebody else or whatever it may be. But you're not talking about the choice of what if they want to maximize their dollars. And there's monetization in all those.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've grown. I'm flipping probably 30 homes a year and wholesaling another 15 or 20. We're just 1 year into wholesaling, so it's very new. So those are small businesses that I'm running. I just opened up a handyman business because I want to cater to not only my past clients, but I want to cater to the flips that I'm doing because I got tired of paying somebody else's margin.
Love it.
I own a marketing company that's about $1 million a year. I have a bunch of investment groups. I have a private social club, which is like a hidden speakeasy. That's the only thing I have that's not like real estate related, but it's pretty awesome. So, Billy, if you ever come to Fargo, you can have some moonshine in my basement.
I love it. Little moonshine, some cigars will be hanging out and mixing it up, bro.
The final pieces that are important to talk about is there's ancillary businesses from the core of what we do. Like the handyman service is an easy ancillary business. For me, the coaching, the marketing, those were ancillary businesses because we're all doing the same thing. I've now opened up a mortgage company. I've opened up a moving company. I'm capitalizing on all these different opportunities. There's opportunities with insurance and with title and with property management, landscaping, all these things. People are coming to me. Remember, my brand of Hatch Realty is a marketing and servicing company, and I have a 9% market share. I have the eyeballs, I have the ears, and I may as well keep every service in my own wheelhouse, from cleaning to lawn care to you name it.
It's like Virgin, Mr. Virgin. You know, he's capitalizing everything. Everything's Virgin related, and you're Hatch related, and you're just making shit happen out there in Fargo.
Yeah.
I didn't even know people live in Fargo, for Christ's sake.
If I go on vacation, nobody does, but otherwise, yeah.
So let's get into now your how you got, I know you got into the wholesaling and the flipping because obviously the business that you're in. Tell us some of the struggles in the beginning when you started doing the wholesaling that you experienced, because I know you're a business guy. I know you understand business, but I'm sure there were certain things as you got down this road of wholesaling that were a little bit different from the real estate side. Maybe I'm wrong, but if you had
it has been a giant learning curve. And I didn't start off as a wholesaler. I started off as a guy that was going to fix and flip. And so that was that. I didn't want to sell to anybody else. I thought my ego had said, and that would be lesson number one, is my ego is like, I can make a lot of money on this place. And when I started, I was paying 82 cents on the dollar or so for places. And I remember I bought a place for $250,000 and put like 20 grand into it. And then I had my realtor fees. And by the way, I'm paying fees to my company every time I do it. Like my investor arm is totally different than my residential real estate arm. So I'm getting paid in a couple of different coffers.
Yep.
But when it was all said and done, I had risked in total almost $300,000 and I made 11 grand.
Ugh.
And so I'm like, dude, I made 11 grand. That's so awesome. And I'm like, holy cow, I just risked how much to make 11 grand? And so now I'm getting more and more aggressive with my offers and less apologetic about beating somebody up after an inspection and that sort. It has been a learned lesson where I've wanted. I'm an empath by nature. I feel what other people feel, and I want to be a servant to them. But I recognize that it was at the cost of my own financial health and my mental well-being. And so I had a deal last year that I still own because I'm contract for deeding it now to somebody, but it was like the money pit. And we all have those stories of the money pits, right? Mm-hmm. I figured there was 60 or 70 grand worth of work that needed to go into this house. And the bigger the project, I thought the bigger the profit margin. And that was a really stupid mistake, Billy. It turns out that the smaller the profit, the more predictable the smaller the project, the more predictable the profit margin.
Sure.
And so I looked at this house, I'm like, I can make 60 grand on this one deal. Amazing. I'm going to spend 70 in it and then I'm going to sell it and I'm going to profit 60 grand and it's going to take me 4 months. Well, the flip took 8 months. I ended up putting $130,000 into it. And then it sat on the market. It fell apart twice. Then it hit winter in North Dakota, and winter in North Dakota is the exact definition of hell as far as I'm concerned. And so that thing just continued to sat. I've now lost $60,000 on that house.
God.
The bigger the swing, the more aggressive my price has to be. I saw the potential of 60 or 70 grand in profit, but I didn't see the potential of 60 grand in loss. And that's what I have to pay attention to is what is my risk versus what is the potential reward. And that's something, if I could go back and do it again, I just wouldn't.
So in that particular deal, lessons that you learned in that one, was it the fact that you didn't have your construction costs dialed in? or your ARV was, I'm sure your ARV was dialed in, you're a realtor. You know your numbers like the back of your hand. So I'm assuming it was the fact that you just didn't do due diligence enough on the rehab side.
So when we opened up the walls, we learned some stories, things that we couldn't see from the inspection. And we ended up having probably $35,000 in wet basement things that were behind sheetrock that we couldn't see. And so that would have been one of them. And the second story that is the truest story is I had the wrong crew.
Yeah.
I had people that were slow to deliver on their work, and their bid and their actual, like I was in some, I'm not a guy that gets heated very often, but it was one of those red faced, I'm so pissed off, I'm losing my mind kind of conversations, and ended up getting, I mean, I'd be 75 grand in the hole if it wasn't for that one conversation that I had to have. So I had the wrong crew. They did shoddy work. We had to redo some of that work, and that bit me really hard. And then seasonality matters. I don't know if it matters in your market, Billy, but seasonality matters here. And so when I planned on putting the house on the market in the middle of the summer, I put the house on the market on 3.5 acres of land. I put it on the market in December.
Worst time of the year.
And so now I had all these snow removal costs, all these extra heating costs. And then one of the mistakes I made is I didn't stage the house. I left it vacant because I thought this is a hot market right now, and a property like this should sell quickly. Well, it didn't. I then paid $2,500 to a stager. It sold within a week.
Yeah. So
then we took the staging material out. It fell apart the week before closing. Now I had to pay $2,500 again to restage that same damn house. And so now what I've done is I bought all my own staging stuff. I'm done paying a stager. I have a storage garage and I have a bunch of stuff. And my gal who runs all this for me, she doesn't have ownership in the company. She just has 5% on the flips that I do. Plus I pay her a salary, and she gets commission too. So she gets kind of three different ways to get paid. She does all the staging for me too. Like she's just kind of my one-stop shop.
You know, I want the listeners to hear this though, because I want to reiterate, this is Erik Hatch. You heard me speaking to him in the beginning. This guy knows business, knows people, knows JVs, knows how to grow. But yet still, even with all that knowledge, you're going to run up against troubles and issues and problems, and shit's going to go sideways. And I say this all the time, whether it's one-on-one or over the podcast or from talking from stage, people in this business, people in life, you have to realize when you're traveling down a road, it's never going to go according to plan. Shit's always going to go sideways, but you need to have the mental fortitude, as you did, to get your shit together and realize, look, it's going to be a loss. It is what it is. What are the lessons that I've learned? How can I take those lessons and then bring them into my next deal so that shit doesn't ever happen again? But guess what? You're going to experience another set of problems on the next deal you do, because this is just the evolution of business and life, right? It's all about learning and overcoming obstacles and taking yourself to the next level.
Yeah. Big swings require big cojones, and you got to be able to deal with it and roll to the next one.
Yeah, I call it elephantitis of the testicles. Well, Erik,
I think there's an ointment for that, Billy.
Listen, brother, if people, you delivered a ton of value on.
Oh, thanks, bro.
I want to know if people want to find you out there, where can they find you on social media, website? Like, give them all your information.
Put my name on everything. So if you just look at Erik Hatch, I'm all over, hopefully, and that's Erik with a K, Erik Hatch on Facebook, Instagram, the YouTubes, all that. I think some of the best value we can provide is via Hatch coaching. So we have an awesome YouTube channel, lots of content, some about leadership, some about selling residential, and some about wholesaling and that sort. So we have a nice potpourri of things, but that's Hatch coaching over on YouTube.
I love it, brother. I love it. If you guys please subscribe to his YouTube channel, go to my podcast, subscribe here, like it, give us 5 stars. Erik, you have been an absolute windfall of information today. I really value you, bro. In February, because I'm actually going to Puerto Rico for a month, I'm looking to get a move over there. I'm going to be moving there full time, hopefully within the next 12 to 18 months. So if things go well, that's the move. 6 months in a day for tax reasons, of course.
I get it.
And so thanks again, brother. I really appreciate you coming on today.
It's a real joy. You're the man, Billy.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Unstoppable Real Estate Investing Wealth. My mission is to give you, my listeners, the blueprint for success, the insider secrets for starting, growing, and scaling your real estate investing business so you can experience and live the unstoppable lifestyle. I've made it simple for you. To catapult yourself to success, go to billyssecrets.com. That's BILLYS secrets.com. There you will find every single tool, tip, trick, strategy, system, and secret used to make millions of dollars as a real estate investor. Everything my team uses and my guests use all in one place for you to tap into so you can start, grow, and scale your real estate investing business. I really hope you implement what you're learning. I hope you utilize these tools, tips, tricks, strategies, and secrets. And I hope to see you on the next episode. God bless. Bye-bye.